So we're going to start off and review a couple topics that we need to know before we start delving into trig. Okay, so a couple of vocabulary words first. You probably remember that an acute angle is any angle that is less than 90 degrees, and an obtuse angle is any angle that is greater than 90 degrees, and a right angle is exactly 90 degrees. So we're going to be dealing with right triangle trig. So the only angles that we're going to be dealing with to begin with, the only triangles, are going to be right triangles. Okay, two other vocabulary words, complementary and supplementary. Complementary angles and supplementary angles are always positive. You can't have negative angles with complementary and supplementary. And complementary are two angles, two positive angles that add to 90 degrees. So then you probably remember that supplementary angles are two angles that add up to 180 degrees. Okay. Which brings us to the Pythagorean theorem. So you probably remember the Pythagorean theorem says a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And a and b are the legs. A and b are the legs. And c is the hypotenuse. And the hypotenuse is the angle that is straight across from the right triangle. So regardless of how we may turn this, it's still going to be the hypotenuse opposite the right angle. So let's say that A is 3 and B is 4. This is actually a really common angle, a really common triangle that we deal with, and we're trying to find the hypotenuse. Well, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So c is the square root of 25, or just 5. Okay, so 3, 4, 5, that's going to be a triangle that we deal with over and over and over. Now you'll notice that this triangle looks really nice. So right triangle over here in the corner, hypotenuse over to the side, legs on the bottom and the side. But it could be turned anyway. So let's look at this other triangle. Okay, so this time our right angle is over here. And we'll say that we have a leg of 7 and a leg of 2. And we're looking for the hypotenuse again. So, oops, we'll make this one B. Okay. So, a squared plus b squared is c squared. So c is the square root of 53. Now, unlike the square root of 25 that we know, we don't know the square root of 53. A lot of times they will leave their answer as a square root, but if you change it to a decimal, I can live with that too. So we'll call that 7.3. Okay, all of that probably looks really, really familiar. Okay, so suppose we do have a square root that we can simplify. something like the square root of 48. Do we know the square root of 48? No, but we can break it down. We can simplify that, and then we're going to talk about rationalizing also. Now remember, when you simplify, you're looking for multiples, you're looking for perfect squares that divide into this number. So I typically start with 10 squared and say, is it divisible by 100? No. 9 squared divisible by 81? No. 8 squared divisible by 64? No. 7 squared, 6 squared, 5 squared, 4 squared. It is divisible by 16, and you may be thinking, well, it's also divisible by 4, but you pick the largest perfect square that goes into your number. So if we break down 48, that breaks down as 16 times 3, which will give us 4 root 3. Okay, so suppose you had a problem that gave you an answer of 9 over root 3, and they want us to rationalize, and you're rationalizing the denominator. So looking at our denominator is root 3, so we are going to multiply by root 3 over root 3. Anything divided by itself is just 1. So 9 times root 3, 9 root 3, and then root 3 times root 3 is root 9, which is just plain old 3. Oops, I ran out of space. So then we can simplify that to just be 3 root 3. Lots of folks hate rationalizing and don't like perfect squares. That's okay. It will be fine. Let's look at one last problem. Okay. Let's say that we know that this side is 10 and this side is 6, and we don't know this side. Okay. So why can I not say 6 squared plus 10 squared equals c squared? Because 10 is not a leg. 10 is your hypotenuse. So pay close attention to what side that you're looking for, and we're looking for one of the legs. So it would be a squared plus b squared equals c squared. A 100 minus 36 is 64. So our missing side is 8. Okay, so you have done all of this for years and years. We'll have a brief assignment with types of angles and the Pythagorean theorem, and then we will get started on trig. Okay, have a good day.